Cool. Hey, welcome to ChatzNightz.
Good evening.
Good evening. How's it going? This is a very special ChatzNightz. You may have noticed that you heard 3 people greet you instead of just 2. We've got friend of the chats, Jim here. Do you want to be Jim or James?
Oh, Jim's good.
Jim's good.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, Jim.
Hi, howdy.
And you're not back just to gab, although you love a good gab, right?
I do love a good gab.
We brought you
And
in
a jest.
here. Okay.
He's got the gift of gab.
Yeah, he does have a gift. He's got a silver tongue. And that's the reason we have you here, you little devil. Because we're going to be drawing on your theatrical proclivities, I suppose, along with our own, as we read a little scriptorino.
Ooh.
And it's not just any scriptorino. This, in light of the fact that we're wrapping up our coverage of Crusade, or we have wrapped it up, and we're ending Chathlon 5 pretty soon, we thought that we would seek some catharsis for the too early canceled spin-off show by doing a dramatic reading of the script of what would have been the finale of season 1 of Crusade. Crusade episode 22 of season 1, End of the Line, by J. Michael Straczynski. So we're going to share that for you today. I think let's go around and say who everybody's playing.
Fabulous.
And we can get into it. So I'm going to be doing the stage directions as well as playing Matheson, Max Eilerson, of course, and man number 1.
I'm going to be playing the Technomage Galen, a new character named Lee, Darina Nafil, the navigation officer, as well as a new character named Jensen.
It's me, Jim, and I'm going to be playing the role of Captain Gideon, crew member, comm officer, Chambers, and, of course, the inimitable man number 2.
Great. And just so we're totally clear, how much of Babylon 5 have you seen, Jim?
I think I was in a room where it was on once.
Okay, and how much Crusade have you seen?
I was definitely in a room where it was not on a couple of times.
Okay, great. So that, I think, is the perfect approach for someone playing Gideon. You just don't really
Why am I here?
have a full sense of what's going on or your purpose.
Yeah, that's great.
So we're going to roll with that. And let's just begin, okay? Crusade, End of the Line by J. Michael Straczynski. And I'm just going to do... I think there are some things that it wouldn't make sense to read, like me saying teaser, but I'm going to just read it anyway, just because. Teaser, fade in, blank screen, over which we hear.
Previously on Crusade.
Flashback montage. Most of it from To the Ends of the Earth and Path of Sorrows, the material dealing with the loss of Gideon's first ship, the Cerberus. We see the attack on the Cerberus, Gideon leaving in an EVA suit as it's destroyed by a shadow hybrid vessel, being picked up by Galen, his questioning and interrogation, his determination to find the ship that killed the Cerberus and her crew. We see his encounter with the killer ship again in the present, the battle with and destruction of the hybrid, and Gideon's determination to find the others like it by locating and following the hybrid signal. We end the montage with Gideon in bed listening to a recording of the signal over and over and over, as we ever so slowly fade to black and fade back in on exterior, Excalibur, hyperspace. The ship is coming at us from the distance. As it passes camera and continues away, we slowly begin to hear that signal again. Interior, Excalibur, bridge. As Gideon enters on the quick, Matheson looking up from his station, the atmosphere, tense.
You sure you've got it? I don't want any...
I've got it. It's weak, but it's definitely the same signal we've been looking for. It's wavering.
Just hold on to it for a few more seconds. Is Galen...
I told him as soon as it came in.
Put him through.
Interior, flight deck. Where we see Galen's flyer. Interior, Galen's flyer. Comp. I don't know what that means. Composite, maybe? I'm not sure. We see a little more of it than before, though only just one wall. A black wall, looking almost vacuum-formed with patterns. One solid piece, no recognizable controls. The eye just sort of slides off it, except for the very center, which appears to be a 2-foot-wide vertical pool of silver water or molten silver or some similar fluid. We can't tell it's fluid yet. It could just be a silver panel. Galen is standing in front of it, rolling a small silver or steel ball bearing between his fingers.
Galen, do you have a lock on it?
I'm transferring the data now. Just another moment.
We may not have a moment. The signal's wavering all over the place. We don't know how long we can hold it.
Matthew.
What?
Shh.
He raises the small ball bearing up to eye level and studies it. There's a small flicker of energy over the ball, rotoscoped. Oh, that's kind of cool. We're learning all these little things. Okay. Then it's gone. Satisfied, he holds it out as though to drop it down. Another angle. As Galen releases the small ball, but instead of falling to the floor, it falls sideways into the vertical silver pool on the wall. As it hits, it sends out ripples that bounce out to the edge of the pool and return. Unlike conventional ripples in a pond, though, the ripples continue to come back and forth, creating a locus in one area, a focus, a directional homing beacon, on Galen. As he smiles for a beat, then...
Galen, we just lost the signal up here. It faded out. Did you get a fix on the location? Galen, did you get it?
I have it, Matthew. The signal lock is now part of my ship. No matter how far away, no matter how small the signal becomes, my ship can now follow it. Once locked, there is no power on Earth or anywhere else that can break the lock. We have it.
Interior, Excalibur, bridge. Gideon nods, ready to proceed. His voice is almost quiet. He knows what he's going to get us into again.
Navigation. Transfer navigational data from Galen's ship. Stand by to change course.
Aye, sir.
He looks to the monitor, where a course projection appears, a directional arrow designating new course in 3 dimensions. Matheson comes up alongside him.
There it is, John. The long road, as Galen says. At the other end could be another one of those ships that killed the Cerberus, or the base that built them, or a whole fleet of them. Last time we went after one of those things, we damn near got destroyed. You still up for this?
Just give the word.
Then let's do it, and let the devil take the hindmost.
Aye, sir. And he moves off to comply. Exterior, Excalibur, hyperspace. As the engines flare and the ship angles away from camera, we fade out. End of teaser. Act 1. Fade in. Exterior, Excalibur, hyperspace. As it zooms past the camera, interior, Excalibur, hallway. Crew are being scrambled, hustling past a crew member, Jensen. He buttonholes another passing crew member.
What's going on?
Captain Gideon's in Ahab mode again. Word is he's got another lead on the ship that he's been chasing. He's got the XO pushing max on the engines.
What's he got?
I dunno. The bridge is buttoned up tight as a kettle drum. All I know is we're hauling major ass towards Sector 420.
Yes.
I hope this time goes better than before. Last time this vendetta of his damn near got us all killed.
With that, he continues OS, off-screen. Jensen watches him go, then moves against the tide of oncoming people, clearly on a mission of his own. Exterior, Excalibur, hyperspace. We can hear the signal as we pan off hyperspace close to the bridge in profile, where we can see Gideon standing at the window looking out.
Galen.
Yes, Matthew.
Still with it.
Closing in on target.
Gideon nods and moves back into the bridge. Interior, Excalibur, bridge. As Gideon continues toward the command chair.
What's in this sector, Lieutenant?
According to the charts, this is supposed to be an empty sector. No known colonies, planets, or stations. Nearest jump gate should be about 2.5 light years from here.
Should be?
If something's in this sector, it has to get here somehow. Unless all their ships are jump capable, which is unlikely. There has to be a jump gate around here somewhere.
But it's not on the hyperspace beacon map. So, whoever's out here, they managed to build a jump gate without anyone knowing about it. That means power and money. And power and money means trouble. You getting this, Galen?
Of course.
We intercut this with Interior Galen's flyer, Comp, as he studies the display.
How close do you want to be to the target before we jump to normal space?
Not close, just inside the system. I want to scope out the area, see what's waiting for us before we go charging in. How much longer until we're in position?
Galen regards the silver pool as the ripples become faster.
I'd say right about now.
Stand by to jump. Jump.
Exterior, normal space, as the Excalibur jumps in from hyperspace. Interior, Excalibur, bridge, as Galen enters and approaches the main window.
Still tracking the signal?
Aye, sir. It appears to be coming from the 4th planet in this system. At our current speed in normal space, estimate 4 hours until we're within scanner range.
Good. Take us in slowly. Scanners at maximum. If anybody launches a ship at us, I want to know about it 10 seconds before it happens.
Angle, close on Galen. He blinks and the contacts we've seen before slide down over the front of his eyes. I don't know what that means. Angle, on window, his POV. We seem to see a cluster of somethings illuminated in the distance, almost like snowflakes, glittering in something that looks like the infrared spectrum.
Matthew.
Back to scene, as they look to Galen.
Yes?
Perhaps you should be looking for something small rather than something large, like a ship. There's something out here, out there. A cloud of small objects, several thousand of them, each no larger than a marble.
How can you tell?
Galen gives him a look of, I'm a technomage, remember?
Right. Never mind. Forget I asked. Lieutenant?
We're recalibrating the scanners. Data confirms Galen's reports. Objects are dead ahead.
Marbles?
If you've been wondering where they'd gotten to, this may be the answer.
Thanks. Not everything dangerous comes in a big package. With the scanners looking for ships large enough to pose a threat, objects that small would have gone undetected until we were right on top of them.
Which may have been the intent.
Lieutenant, fire a long-range probe into the middle of them. Let's see what happens.
Aye, sir. Stand by on probe.
Probe ready to launch.
Launch. Exterior Excalibur. As the probe is launched, interior Excalibur bridge. They wait, watching exterior, small mines, shooting past and through the cloud of marble-shaped and sized objects towards the approaching probe. Exterior small mines reverse. As the probe enters their midst and gently bumps into one of them, suddenly the one explodes. Others around it begin to explode, and now as we pull back, it's a chain reaction, a cloud of fire and death. Interior Excalibur bridge. As the light of the nearby explosion briefly lights their faces, then fades.
Nasty, but effective. Not enough to destroy the ship, but it would have left us disabled and helpless.
Lieutenant, where did these mines come from?
Backtracking their trajectory. They go to the monitor, which shows a display of the mine's trajectory. It leads back to a nearby planetoid. It looks like they were launched from this planetoid. No life signs. May have been an automatic defense system.
Except it took time for them to get that far. When were they launched?
Given distance traveled, I estimate 2 hours ago. No sign of any others. They were deliberately put right in our path.
It would appear they knew we were coming.
Lieutenant, we have a leak. I want it found and plugged. You have exactly 10 minutes.
Matheson nods and hurries off to comply as Galen comes up alongside Gideon. Communications. I want a full readout on all transmissions in the last 12 hours.
Aye, sir.
Why exactly 10 minutes?
Last time we did this as a drill, he ran the whole comm system in 12 minutes, which I believe was a record. What good's a record if you can't break it?
I'm sure the first man to run the Greek marathon felt the same way.
Why? What happened?
He died.
Galen moves off. Gideon looks to the display.
8 minutes, 25 seconds, Lieutenant.
Interior Excalibur crew quarters. The same crew member we saw before, Jensen, is on his bunk, looking tense. He gets up, paces, his paces bringing him to the door just as it beeps at him.
Yes?
The door opens. Nobody's there. He edges close to the open doorway, just as 4 or 5 really big Marines come charging in the door, swarming him and pinning him against the opposite wall as Gideon and Matheson enter behind.
9 minutes, 20 seconds. Outstanding, Lieutenant.
Thank you, sir. Gideon approaches Jensen as the Marines step back, allowing him room to stand.
Jensen, Eric B. According to our records, you were assigned to the Excalibur 2 months ago on standard rotation. How much did they pay you to sabotage my ship? And just out of my own curiosity, who are they?
You don't get it, do you? What you're up against is bigger than you. Bigger than me, and a hell of a lot bigger than this ship. Right now, you and me, we've got one thing in common.
What's that?
We're both dead. You just don't know it yet.
Suddenly he reaches for the back of one of his hands. Before anyone can stop him, he snaps it back sharply. It's a prosthetic. A mechanism inside it activated with the snap, and with a pulsation it begins powering up.
Bomb! Evac right now! Move it, move it, move it!
He gets the others clear and looks to Jensen.
Why? You didn't have to...
Yes, I did. You don't know what the alternative is to failure, but you will.
The bomb powering up almost all the way, Gideon charges out the door into interior Excalibur hallway. He dives for the ground just as the bomb explodes behind him, the fireball erupting out of the crew quarters doors. On their reactions to this, we fade out. End of Act 1. How are we feeling so far, guys? Ready?
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's very action-packed.
Yeah, I know.
It's more serious than normal.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm starting to get into character.
Yeah, yes. Just make sure
Yeah, also, hopefully I didn't blow the levels with the shouting.
No, I hope you did.
I hope you did.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
All right, Act 2. Fade in. Exterior Excalibur, still continuing on its way. Interior Excalibur medbay. Gideon watches as Chambers goes over what's left of Jensen's body, which ain't much, and we thus keep it fairly covered. She doesn't bother glancing back at him as she speaks.
I can save you some time, Captain. There wasn't enough of the body left intact to put in a show box. There's no way I can tell you who made this bomb or where it came from.
All I need to know is, was it made by humans or aliens?
Captain, I couldn't tell you if it was made by leprechauns. I've never seen anything self-destruct so thoroughly. All right, that's about all we're going to get. Send the rest off to the lab and maybe something will show up on the electron microscope. But I'm not holding out any hope.
She emerges from the ISO bay, pulling off the autopsy gloves.
I've been going over his personnel jacket.
Then I can save you some time. There's nothing there. It's a perfect record.
And that doesn't strike you as odd? 5 years in Earth Force and not a single infraction in all that time?
Some people can do it. I did. Well, for about a week.
Okay, so maybe an anal retentive career officer could pull it off. Or someone like you.
Thank you.
But the kind of person who'd blow himself up isn't the sort to have a perfect record.
So you think the record is a fake?
I wouldn't put money on it, but my gut says yes.
If that's true, then whoever's behind all this has contacts deep enough in Earth Force to plant a fake personnel jacket. Probably making sure nobody in Earth Force gets too close to the truth about these ships. Whatever that is. This is getting more and more interesting by the minute.
Just then his wrist link goes off.
Gideon, here, go.
You want to
Yeah,
take that one
I'm
again?
going to take that one again. Talking to myself is, yeah.
It's disorienting.
Yeah, it's disorienting. Gideon here, go.
Captain, we're closing on the target, nearly within scanner range.
I'm on my way. Whoop. Thanks for the information, Doctor.
I'm not sure I gave you any.
You gave me some interesting questions, and sometimes that's even better than an answer.
And he exits. Exterior Excalibur, as it heads past camera toward a brown, hazy planet in BG. What's BG? The background. Approaching the target. Interior Excalibur chart room. It's my favorite room. As Gideon and Matheson approach the 3D display table, Matheson touches a control. A display of the planet appears with some denotations as he describes them. We're picking up a series of small domes on the planet's surface. No markings of any kind.
Any transmissions? Anything that can tell us who or what's down there?
Negative. And the carrier wave we've been tracking just went off.
It got us here. That's what matters.
Just then, the display begins to blink, tracing a series of blips across the planet's surface. Sir, I'm picking up fighters being launched on intercept course.
All right. Scramble offensive wings. All hands. Battle stations.
Aye, sir. Battle stations. They head off screen fast. Exterior Excalibur. As a batch of thunderbolts are launched, interior Excalibur bridge. As everyone hurries to their respective places.
Have you got an ID on these fighters?
Coming in now. Matheson goes to a console and looks at the readings. We don't see what he does, only his reaction. He goes cold, and is stunned by what he's seeing.
What is it? What's wrong?
The enemy fighters. Silhouettes match Star Fury and Thunderbolt readouts. Those are Earth Force ships out there.
What?
Exterior space angle on enemy fighters. Black Thunderbolts and Star Furies race past camera, heading for the oncoming force from Excalibur. Exterior space angle on Excalibur fighters. Shooting past them to the oncoming fighters. Interior Thunderbolt cockpit stock. Okay. Reacting to this, the pilot's face unseen behind the dark faceplate.
Squad leader to next. Captain, those are our ships out there. Are we supposed to fire on our own side?
Stand by.
Interior Excalibur bridge, as Gideon reacts to Matheson. Fighters are taking position. 500 clicks and holding. We're getting a signal from the planet.
Put it through.
On the monitor appears an Earth Force officer, Major Lee, and he's not pleased.
Repeat. This is base to intruder. You are ordered to stand down, or we will open fire.
This is Captain Matthew Gideon of...
I know who this is. Now stand down and recall your fighters. Right now.
Gideon hesitates. It doesn't go over well.
That's an order, Captain.
The crew looks to Gideon, who himself isn't sure what to do, or what the hell's going on, but takes a chance.
Stand down. Lieutenant, call back the fighters.
But sir.
Give the recall order.
Aye, sir. Matheson goes to the console. As he does, Gideon approaches the monitor.
You'll forgive my concern, but according to the charts, we don't have any bases in this part of space. So I'd appreciate an explanation, Major...
Not on an open channel.
Alright then, I'll come down there.
Negative, Captain. You will turn around and leave this sector at once.
I'm afraid I can't do that. For all I know, this could be a renegade base. You could be impersonating an officer. I have an obligation to follow orders, if that order comes from a legitimate source. I can't take this one without verification.
Captain.
Protocol in this situation requires that I send out a signal to any other Earth Force ships in the area and call home, get some more people in here to help resolve the situation. I can make it as crowded as you'd like, Major.
All right. We'll clear you for landing. Just you and one pilot, no more.
That'll be fine. Thanks for your cooperation.
The Major blips off. Matheson looks to Gideon. Captain, what the hell's going on? We were on the trail of that vessel that killed an Earth Force ship. What's it doing leading to an Earth Force base?
I don't know, but I'm sure as hell going to find out, and I can't do that up here.
It may not be safe.
What is?
With that, Gideon leaves. Exterior, Excalibur. A lone shuttle emerges from the ship. It speeds away. Exterior, space. Angle on enemy fighters. As they form up on either side of the shuttle and escort it to the planet, exterior planetary base. CGI. As a dome over... yes, computer-generated image. As a dome over a landing platform opens and the shuttle heads for it, interior planetary base, computer-generated image. The shuttle lowers on a platform, the dome closing above it. Interior office building, hallway. Totally anonymous and undecorated, plain white walls. Gideon is escorted under armed guard to a door, also unmarked. A guard knocks. There's a beat. Then...
Come in.
The guard opens the door and stands back, allowing Gideon to enter. Interior, office. Gideon enters, the door closing behind him. Lee sits at his desk, finishing some papers in a folder, deliberately making Gideon wait. After a moment, Gideon clears his throat to get his attention. It doesn't exactly work.
If you have to clear your throat, there's a water fountain down the hall.
Yes, sir.
Finally, Lee closes the folder, looks up.
What are you doing in this sector, Captain?
I've been assigned to the Excalibur to try and find a cure to the...
I know all about your mission, Captain, and you, and your crew. Back to grade school. That doesn't tell me what you're doing here.
We're supposed to explore areas off the beaten track. This qualifies.
According to the last flight plan you filed with Earth Force, you're supposed to be in Sector 730.
Then I'd say we're considerably off course. And since this base isn't on the map, I'd say this applies to the both of us. Sir.
Lee frowns, gets up, and walks around the room.
However important your individual mission, Captain, do you think you're privy to every matter of planetary security affecting Earth?
No, sir.
Then let me enlighten you, as far as I'm able under the regs. This is a research and development facility, one of half a dozen others, all working on weapons technology vital to the protection of Earth and her colonies. The work is extremely dangerous and highly classified. To protect innocence and the privacy of our work, we've been located well off the beaten track. We're not on any map. Officially, we don't even exist. And we intend to keep it that way. This base is none of your concern, Captain. I've told you all I can, and that's the end of it. Whatever prompted you to come here, you will now turn your ship around and leave the area at once.
I don't know. Sounds pretty exciting. Maybe I should stick around for a while, check it out. After all, at the end of the day, we're on the same side. Aren't we?
Lee returns to his desk, sitting under.
We're all on the side of Earth, Captain, and we're all responsible to the same chain of command. If you don't leave the area, I will make sure that someone very high up that chain of command relieves you of authority and puts someone more compliant in charge of the Excalibur. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, sir. As crystal.
Good. Dismissed.
He's over his paperwork again, the conversation over. The door opens behind Gideon and he's ushered out. Exterior, Excalibur. As the shuttle returns to the flight deck. Interior, Excalibur hallway. Outside the flight deck, Matheson is pacing, waiting, as Gideon enters. They fall into place, moving down the hall.
It appears we're not wanted here, Lieutenant.
I gathered. I finished those other scans you wanted. What are they?
Good. Status of opposition fighters.
They've fallen back, waiting to see what we do.
All right, let's give them what they want. Jump to hyperspace as soon as we're clear.
Then what?
Then find me Galen.
And they disappear around the corner. Exterior Excalibur. The fighters in the distance as the Excalibur jumps to hyperspace. We dissolve to interior Gideon's quarters. Gideon is already there with Galen.
I take it then that you don't believe his story.
I believe it. Up to a point. He's hiding something.
It is a secret base, Matthew.
More than that. There's a path that leads from the Cerberus right to this base. Could be they're making preparations to deal with it. Maybe something on the R&D board was stolen, and they're covering it up. Either way, I'm going back. I need someone who can slip me onto the planet, get me past the scanners.
And that would be me?
Your ship is invisible to every kind of scanner. And if you have any tricks that can help me out once I'm on the ground...
I may have one or two. But before I agree, think about what you're doing, Matthew. There is a point of no return in such things.
I know it's dangerous.
I was not speaking of the physical danger, although that is part of it. You could be killed if you are found in the wrong place at the wrong time. But more than that, if you go, you may learn things that you do not wish to know. See things you should not see. There is very little innocence left in you. Are you sure you want to sacrifice the last of it?
I have the lives of 369 officers and crew on my conscience, Galen. When they died, my innocent went with them. I have nothing else to lose.
There you are wrong. But you will have to learn that in your own time. I only hope you do not learn it too late. We will go.
On the weight of this, we fade out. End of Act 2.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, he's about to learn some.
I'm so invested.
Yeah, I'm super invested.
Yeah.
These are like evil Earth Force shadow pals or something.
Or are they?
I don't know.
Or they're just Earth Force. And that's the scary thing, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. Act 3. Fade in. Exterior Excalibur hyperspace. Just to reestablish. Then. This must be a shooting script, right?
I think so.
Yeah, that's funny. Interior Dorina's quarters. She's in bed asleep. She awakes to a sound, a shimmering sound nearby. She gets up, crosses to where she has stored the sword she gets in a later episode. which
will be aired before
this one. She unwraps it. It is glowing slightly along the edges. She holds it up, considering it, as she's started by the door beeping. She covers it again.
Yes?
The door opens and Gideon enters, in his leather planet jacket. She notes it.
You're up late. Going somewhere?
I have things to do. I need a favor. I'm about to break just about every regulation in Earth Force, and if things go wrong, I need to get some information to Lieutenant Matheson. If I leave it for him directly, it'll look as if he was in on it, when I've deliberately kept him out of it. He's got a great career ahead of him. I don't want any of my mistakes to be his mistakes.
What do you want me to do?
My personal logs are kept in 6 data crystals hidden in my quarters. They have all the information I've been able to gather about the ship that destroyed the Cerberus. If this doesn't go well, I want you to break into my quarters and get the data crystals.
Where are they?
If I wanted them found that easily, I wouldn't come to a thief. Mess up the place, don't be subtle about it. The more they look stolen, the better. When the time's right, give them to John. Tell them to hold on to them until after a cure has been found. Then ask him to finish what I couldn't.
Consider it done.
He nods. There's really nothing else to say. Finally.
Good night, Dorina.
Good night, Matthew.
He exits. Exterior Excalibur hyperspace. As Galen's ship emerges, then soars back in the direction the Excalibur came from. Interior Galen's flyer. Limbo set. Limbo set.
Hello?
Gideon's really practicing.
I wonder if that's a term.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gideon is unpacking and examining a breather as Galen appears behind him.
We'll be there soon.
Good. I had Matheson scope out the area. Didn't tell him why. According to the scanners, that place is twice as big below ground as it is above, so that's probably where they're hiding the really interesting stuff. He also found a network of maintenance tunnels leading away from the base. Since there's no other population, and anyone coming in would usually be seen, my guess is the tunnels aren't heavily guarded.
And if you're wrong?
Then it'll be a very short trip, followed by a very long stay in a jail cell somewhere. Galen, if you're in here, who's flying the ship?
The ship flies itself. It also protects itself against anyone who does not have the proper wards and passwords. Since it would take forever to disarm them all, I suggest you not wander about until we land. To do otherwise could be quite messy.
With that, he heads away. Gideon takes a beat, looks around warily, then continues to check his gear. Exterior, planetary base, computer-generated image. As Galen's ship descends into the atmosphere. Exterior, surface, computer-generated image. Galen's ship swoops in and hovers just above the surface, and through the dust and the wind, we can barely see Gideon jumping the 5 or 6 feet down from the ship. Galen's ship instantly takes off again, and Gideon starts walking as we pan across to an access duct set into a hillside. Interior, access tunnel. Narrow, cramped, the opening visible behind him. Gideon, still in breather, armed with a flashlight, makes his way through the tunnel cut into the stone around him. Double up the shooting in here, first wide, then backing him up and bringing him in again close to make the walk seem longer than it is. Also, have a plug to drop in place of the opening for the same reason. The only sounds are of his breathing and the hum of massive machines, which groan louder as he continues onward. After a bit, he comes to an airlock set into the walls of the tunnel. He touches a panel, and it opens. He steps through. The airlock seals behind him. He removes the breather, gingerly takes a breath, decides it's okay, and moves on, concealing the breather behind some crates. Interior, entrance to cavern. Composite. Start with Gideon moving into a lighter part of the tunnel. He continues forward, seeing a way in. He passes camera, and we follow now behind him as he steps through an entrance to an inner cavern. Computer-generated image composite, similar to the Starfire Temple entrance in B5414. What is that?
Season 4, episode 14.
Yeah, but what's the Starfire Temple?
I don't remember.
Yeah, could you?
Yeah, no, I mean, keep reading.
Yeah. Then we're finally into interior cavern research facility computer-generated image. Huge, a mile or more across. A great open pit where high-tech structures have been built into the wall of the cavern. Catwalks and other support structures ribbon the area above, almost but not quite like spiderwebs. Pinpoints of light and spotlights. Large machines on rails move back and forth, carrying pieces of shadow-style ship parts to assembly lines. Give this a good, long moment. This... Oh, boy. This has to be our best, most detailed, and realistic CGI to date.
Don't phone it in this time, you guys!
Possibly use multiple shots. We can make out movement in the darkness, human forms, but they're in darkness, and we can't make out details yet. Did you look up that episode?
It's moments of transition. It's the end of I believe one of the wars, the Minbari Civil War.
Okay, yeah. Angle on entrance. We're on a ledge overlooking all this. We intercut the above with close-ups of Gideon, taking it all in until finally.
My God.
Then he hears a sound. Someone has come up nearby. He turns and sees something terrible and impossible. It's a human, or more properly what was once a human female. But its skin is covered with black, hard matter, similar to a shadow vessel carapace. Prosthetic is similar in some ways to Delen's shell in Revelations. They both freeze for a beat, each looking at the other in surprise. Then she points at him, eyes widening, and lets out an inhuman howl. Use some shadow scream sounds in this. Interior cavern research facility CGI. Other figures start to pay attention at the sound. Oh, start to attention at the sound. And we see now that there are others here, just like her, toiling in the cavern on the machines, and they pick up the howl, pointing in his direction. Possibly also a big composite plus multiple single shots. Angle, Gideon. He starts to turn to go back the way he came, but a door slides down, blocking the way. He races past her, knocking her aside and running down. Exterior, ledge, blue screen, composite shot. He's running for all he's worth. Spotlight's starting to lock onto him. He shoulders another one of them again. Gunfire starts to hit rapid fire, slamming into the wall above his head. To avoid being hit, he leaps onto exterior catwalk, coming up in a tuck and roll and looking right into the business end of a heavy-duty rifle held by an Earth Force security marine in full flak gear and looking big as death and twice as mean. Knowing that there's a time and a place for fighting, and this ain't it, Gideon raises his hands. From the other end of the catwalk, other marines rush in, pin his arms behind his back, and rush him off the catwalk. Interior, brig. A standard cell. Gideon is alone, pacing, waiting. We give it a beat. Then the door opens and Major Lee enters, with several well-armed marines standing guard at the door.
Major! Long time no see.
Captain, I want you to understand something very important. At this precise moment in time, the only thing standing between you and a firing squad is me. It is therefore in your best interests not to piss me off more than you already have. And that is considerable. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
The others said you were a stubborn man, that you wouldn't just take no for an answer and leave. I made the mistake of assuming you were stubborn but smart. Apparently I was wrong. It will take exactly one call back home to have you listed as missing in action. As far as anyone will ever know, you left your ship alone and never made it here. It'll be written off as an accident in hyperspace. What happens in the next 2 minutes will determine whether or not I make that call.
Are we talking a deal here? Why?
From time to time, others have tried to find out about our little operation. You're the first one to have gotten this far. That indicates a highly evolved degree of intelligence, ability, and tenacity. You could be a valuable resource. Or you could be a short-lived threat to our security. By the end of this conversation, we'll establish which of those possibilities we're dealing with here.
Alright. Then let's talk. I'll start. What is this place? What were you doing down there?
Your ship is a combination of Minbari and Vorlon technologies, highly advanced, reverse engineered so that we could incorporate them into our own designs. Did you think she was the only one of her kind? Or that we weren't looking at other possibilities? There was another race, just as old as the Vorlons, and just as advanced.
The Shadows.
They were known by many names. That is one of them. They were 1,000,000 years ahead of everyone else. A little over 10 years ago, during the last war, we came across some of their artifacts. Once we realized what we had, we were authorized to conduct covert research and development on these artifacts. We wanted to see if we could adapt that technology and make it work for us. When the Drakh used some of this same leftover shadow tech to hit Earth with a plague, our work gained even more importance. Hell, it's altogether possible that we could find a cure here a hell of a lot faster than you could by wandering around the galaxy digging holes.
Do all the Joint Chiefs know about this?
Some do, some don't. It's on a need-to-know basis. And we get to decide who needs to know. Given the importance of this mission to Earth security, anyone lower on the food chain who shouldn't know about this doesn't stick around very long.
Is that what happened to the Cerberus? Did Captain Name find out something he shouldn't have? Did he see something he shouldn't have seen?
Lee gets up, moves away. This is a sore point for him.
What happened to the Cerberus was a tragic mistake. Shadow tech is organic. It incorporates living being into its operating system. Sometimes the mix goes well, sometimes it doesn't. That's why the Alliance considers it forbidden tech. Sometimes the subject goes mad. And the ship that's a part of him also goes mad. Something went wrong during one of those merges. The ship broke free, went on a rampage. We couldn't stop it in time. The Cerberus was in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's all.
That's all. 360 men and women died, never knowing why. And all you can say is, it was a mistake? And what about those people I saw underground? Where do they fit into this?
I've been cleared to talk to you about a few things, Captain. That is not one of them.
Why? Because they're more of your mistakes?
I don't see why you're being so judgmental about our tactics, Captain. After all, someone very close to you has been using shadow tech for a very long time.
This stops Gideon. He isn't sure initially if they're trying to mess with his mind or not, but he senses that maybe he's telling the truth.
What are you talking about? Are you saying Eilerson?
No, not Max Eilerson, Gideon.
On this revelation and Gideon's reaction, we fade out. End of Act 3. Who could it be? Who could be using Shadow Tech?
Galen, probably.
You think so?
That's my only guess.
If he's a technomage, that makes sense.
Technomage, yeah.
Technomage.
Wait, or was he saying no, not Max Eilerson? Gideon. Maybe I'm using the Shadow Tech.
Maybe the Apocalypse Box is a Shadow thing.
Yeah, let's find out.
I don't think we will.
This show's fake.
End of Act 3. Act 4. Fade in. Exterior planetary base. Computer-generated image. Just to establish. Then we're back into interior brig. Lee, Gideon, and the soldiers.
Galen would never use Shadow Tech. It's simply not true.
Is it?
Exterior planetary. You want to do that one again?
Of course I do.
It was like a sitcom.
Is it?
Exterior planetary base, CGI. Favoring a glass-surrounded control tower. Interior control tower, blue screen, composite. 2 men standing in front of a window looking out past the dome. Man number 1 has a comp pad / hand scanner he's using to scour the horizon. I'm telling you, I saw nothing.
If there was a ship out there, we'd see it on the scanners. Come back inside.
No, not yet. Interior brig. As before, Gideon and Lee.
Captain, where do you think the Technomages got all that advanced technology? Technology so advanced it looks like magic. Ships that have a mind of their own. Personal control systems that are merged right into their own bodies. It's organic tech, light years beyond anything anyone has got. Shadow tech, Captain. Stolen. Same as ours. That's why they've left known space during the war. They weren't running from the shadows. They were running from us.
Whoa.
Because we wanted what they had, and they wouldn't share. So, now you know the truth. Question is, what do you want to do from here? The Cerberus was an accident, the unfortunate byproduct of our efforts to try and keep Earth at the forefront of new technology. You're a sharp man. You can choose to join the right side and be a part of the solution, or make yourself part of the problem. So what'll it be, Captain?
At this point, I'd have to be a fool not to join up. I'm many things, but a fool isn't one of them.
No. Then you won't mind.
Then you won't mind if we send for a telepath to verify the sincerity of your offer. If he says yes, you walk out of here and join us. If he says no, this discussion is over and you will never leave this room alive. As a further show of your sincerity, once you're back on the Excalibur, you will turn Galen over to us. We're still having some problems adapting the Shadow Tech, and he might be able to solve them for us. I've always wanted to meet a Technomage face to face.
I think that can be arranged.
Interior, control tower, blue screen composite. As before, man number 1 is working a comp pad, holding it up to scan the area. Suddenly, his eyes go wide. I'm picking up a massive EMP surge. Damn, it's big enough to shut down the whole... Oh, hell. It says angel. It should say angle, but I like to think he's dying and becoming an angel. Angle past man number 1. Galen's flyer looms big, as if it's on a collision course. Then it flares. Interior office building, hallway. A couple of staffers are walking along as the lights go out. Interior brig. As the lights go out, replaced by red emergency lights that glow dimly.
What the hell?
Then the door blows in, knocking Lee and the guards to the floor unconscious. The guard nearest Gideon isn't directly hit, so Gideon takes him out in a quick exchange of punches. In the smoke and red glow from the hall, Galen slowly appears in view. He has his staff with him.
Did I wait long enough?
It'll do. Come on!
They run out. Interior office building, hallway. At first, we see only a distortion against the wall as people run past. Then we push in through the distortion field, rotoscoped, to find Galen and Gideon.
Stay close. We have to go back the way you came. My ship will land exactly where it dropped you.
What is this?
A distortion field. It bends the light around us and affects their optic nerves. They won't see us unless they run into us. It takes a great deal of energy to cover both of us, but without you running around the back door to distract them from one coming in the front, we don't have much choice.
So this is how you get around without being noticed. Affecting the optic nerve. A ship that thinks for itself. You might almost think this was organic tech.
Wouldn't you, Galen?
Galen looks at him sharply. He knows more than Galen had hoped, and he doesn't answer the question. They hurry off screen. Interior cavern research facility, CGI. Galen and Gideon, inside the distortion field, emerge into the cavern, and Galen stops at what he sees.
Galen? Come on, we don't have much time. They'll get the power back any time now.
Monstrous. I knew they had figured out some of it, but I had no... Dear God.
He looks to one of the affected people who wanders past them, looking dazed, confused, like a child when the lights have been turned out. And his heart is torn between the anger and sympathy and deadly outrage. His eyes harden and he hands Gideon his staff.
Take this. Hold it close. It will cover you until you are clear.
Wait a minute. What the hell are you gonna do?
End their misery. Go on.
Reluctantly, Gideon does. Another angle, wider, composite. As Gideon moves away, taking the distortion field with him, the result looks as if Galen emerged from behind a passing haze. He looks around as, angle, the other humanoids begin to notice him. Interior entrance to cavern, composite. Gideon makes it there and looks back. Interior cavern catwalk. Galen stands in the middle of it as the affected people come toward him. He reaches out and places a hand on either side of the metal catwalk. Another angle, favoring Galen, composite. Black metal seems to extrude over his face and hands from the area at his back, covering him. It's similar to what we're seeing on the humans, but more sleek and controlled. Where he has his hands on the metal catwalk, energy begins to spike outward, ribboning away. Interior cavern research facility, CGI. Energy flows outward from Galen, and suddenly the whole place is engulfed in a series of chain reactions. Interior access tunnel. Gideon is hurrying along when there's an explosion from back the way he came that throws him to the ground. Smoke and a sense of fire ripple past him. He gets to his feet and staggers forward. Interior access tunnel moments later. Further down the tunnel toward the airlock, Galen finds the breather where he'd left it and turns at the sound of someone coming. He whirls around and finds Galen there, looking much the worse for wear. He takes a step or two forward and collapses. Gideon catches him before he can reach the floor and drags him on. Exterior, rock wall. Gideon drags Galen with him, through the roaring wind and dust. He pulls off the breather, lets Galen take a breath or two, and looks up. His point of view, the sky. We see Galen's ship starting to descend. Exterior, rock wall. Galen hands back the mask, and they continue off-screen. Exterior, planetary base, CGI. As Galen's ship rises, interior, Galen's flyer, limbo set. They both slump to the floor, exhausted. For a moment, neither wants to look at the other. Then Galen risks a glance back.
You were right about one thing, Galen. I did learn things I didn't want to know. About you and the other techno-mages.
What you saw back there, those things, that was why we left. That was a secret we were afraid they had discovered. That
can wait. You know, I must be an entirely new and undiscovered kind of stupid not to have put it together until now. Why you and all the other techno-mages who were running away just happened to be passing right through the area where my ship was destroyed. Why you've been keeping an eye on me ever since. Why you came back from your hiding place, and why you volunteered to come along. You wanted to find out how far we'd come to try and adapt shadow tech.
My job, my responsibility, was to keep track of leftover shadow tech. It was the only thing that could pose a threat to us. Whether it was the Drakh or our own race, didn't matter.
Is that why you saved my life 10 years ago, Galen? And why you've stayed close to me ever since? Because you know that I was a connection to that technology? That sooner or later I'd lead you to it? All this time, Galen, have you just been using me?
Oh, sorry. Galen looks to him, and he is wounded by the thought. Saddened more than angered, just as Gideon is more saddened than angry to ask the question.
What does your heart tell you?
Not to trust anyone. Ever again. For any reason.
Galen nods, distant. He pulls himself slowly and painfully to his feet. Starts off.
I should give the ship new orders. They will try to follow us.
One more thing. I want you to drop me off at Mars. Tell the others to meet me there. I'm going to blow this little secret wide open, and I'll need their help to do that.
And what do you want me to do after that?
Just drop me off, then go away.
For how long?
I don't know, Galen. I honestly don't know.
Galen nods and moves off. We hold on Gideon, who feels that he's lost the only friend he had, the only one he could count on. Exterior, Galen's flyer. As it soars away from us, we fade out. End of Act 4. That's a big revelation.
Yeah. It's a huge one. Also, Gideon Matheson is right there. You have a boyfriend. It's okay.
Man, this show could have been good.
Yeah, but they playing.
Yeah, they playing.
I'm saying. That's a cool way to reveal that, though.
Yeah.
It's like a regular mission that just is like, oops, oop, you fell into it. Oop.
It makes the techno mages less dumb, also.
Yeah.
And then he also finds out what happens to his ship, which is cool.
Right. Mm-hmm. They answered like one of the bigger questions of the show.
Yeah. Destroyed by Earth Force using shadow technology poorly.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
happens.
That's fun.
That's the way wars go.
Tag. Fade in. Exterior, Mars. We pan up to find the Excalibur under...
Max, you ready to go?
Interior, Excalibur, Eilerson's quarters. Gideon is on the screen as Eilerson pulls on a jacket. Yeah, he does. Gideon is calling from a commercial comm system on a Mars street. I think so.
Good. I'll meet you in Mars Dome 1 outside the IPX building, and we'll go for there.
Why not come here first?
For the same reason I'm not going through Lieutenant Matherson to set up the meeting. I want to keep him and the rest of the crew as far away from this as possible. Besides, Mars is your turf. You have the connections to set up a meeting with the provisional government. If I go through channels to set it up, the wrong people will hear about it and stop it from happening.
Oh, sorry. All right. I'll set it up. But it'll take a few hours. This is awfully short notice.
Understood. Signal me on this frequency when everything's set.
What about Galen? Will he be there?
No, he won't.
But...
Gideon out.
The connection is cut. Eilerson wonders what the hell's going on. But knows now isn't the time. He touches the screen. Ship. Give me a signal to the Mars Provisional Government. The Office of Planetary Security. Interior... I'm kind of doing a Zap Brannigan.
Yeah, I was thinking that. It's a good one.
Interior, Mars Dome 1. Computer-generated image. Juts to establish. Then... That should say just to establish. Exterior.
Yeah, there's some
There are a
typos
lot
in
of
here.
typos in here. Exterior, street. Gideon is waiting in civvies. He's restless. People passing. He moves off a bit. As he does, we see Galen come around a corner in background, keeping an eye on Gideon. Exterior, street, continuous. Further down, Gideon looks up and sees Eilerson, Chambers, Matheson, and Dorina coming toward him. He's both pleased and pissed.
Hello, Captain. What the hell are all of you doing here? I gave explicit instructions.
I know. But we talked it over. And if you're going to take this on, we want you to know we stand with you.
You're not even supposed to know about this.
Captain, I am a telepath. Even when I try not to know things, I know them. Point of view shot. Gideon, through sniper scope. It's a down shot toward him. His voice is electronically enhanced.
Well, I appreciate the support. Thanks, Max. You've set up the meeting?
It wasn't easy, since you didn't give me much to go on, but yes, it's set up. They're waiting for us now. Back to scene as before. I still think one of us should have gone first, in case there's a problem.
None of you saw what I saw. It's only hearsay. I'm the only one who can testify as a witness. So, let's get this over with.
They nod and start off together. We track them a bit, intercutting with a sniper point of view as he draws a bead on the middle of Gideon's chest. Angle, Galen. Emerging from the shadows, watching, then he glances up. Galen's point of view, CGI. An upshot of a tall building, as he sees something glitter on the edge of a rooftop, and we enhance shot to reveal a sniper. Angle, Galen. He reacts to what he sees.
No!
As he suddenly rushes forward, knocking people aside. Possible slow motion here.
Matthew! Matthew! Get down!
Matthew hears his voice starts to turn. The sniper scope is trained directly on Gideon's chest. A sniper's finger pulls the trigger. On Gideon's face. Turning back into camera as we hear the crack of the gun firing. There's the feel of impact and the look on his face. And he falls back slow. And we fade to black as he strikes the pavement. Then superimpose. To be continued. As we fade out. End of show.
Ooh. Somebody doesn't want him to talk.
So interesting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had known about that last shot for a while, and now knowing what gets us there is like, oh yeah. That lines up perfectly. In terms of he found out something he wasn't supposed to know, and the right people were in the right place at the right time.
Oh, there could have been some real cool intrigue in Crusade if it had existed long enough.
I mean, Gary Cole could still pull that off.
Well, what's funny is they didn't talk about this in this, but he has this thing in the show called the Apocalypse Box, where it's supposed to be, it's like a box that he consults privately in his room that like tells him like, you know, here's something that's gonna happen soon. It like knows the future basically.
Yeah.
And we learned from like reading something else outside of the show that it's supposed to be him talking to himself, like as he already died.
So you're thinking that that's like the shadow tech?
Possibly.
Maybe.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know.
After this point, apparently, he's supposed to like be in the box or something.
Yeah.
So he still exists in the show, but probably
As a
dead.
voice.
Okay.
Like a dead voice.
That's
yeah.
interesting.
And then
Dang.
Galen would be super outy, which kind of explains why we don't get a lot of like Galen development. But when we do get Galen development episodes, it's kind of to like make us empathize more. And I'm sure he would stick around in the show.
Yeah, I think he'd still be like a big part of the show.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be like his role would change a little bit. He wouldn't just be like,
Right.
I'm here for advice. Like, let me help you. It's like,
Because this sort of complicates it. He's presented to us as having been like exiled from the Technomages, but it seems like actually maybe he's
working for them
and pretending to have been kicked out.
yeah,
which
false
is-
narratives, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, that's intrigue right there.
Yeah.
But that's the script. That's end of the line.
Cool.
And that's the end of our line.
And our lines.
And our lines.
Great work
So,
across the board. Very good
Yeah,
work.
very fun stuff.
Yeah.
This is ChatzNightz. You know the deal. You know how to get in touch with us. This is our last Patreon episode before we start posting March content. So you can go ahead to the Patreon, make sure you vote for what you want to listen to in the month of March.
Rock that vote.
Rock that vote, and that'll do it for us. Yeah, Jim, you want to tell anybody about anything? Plugs?
You're allowed to plug
Oh,
things.
Are you on the internet?
Yes, so I'm on the internet, but nothing is very good, so
Alright.
just
That's true.
search for me on LinkedIn, James Sheehy.
Okay.
Add me on LinkedIn.
Add Jim on LinkedIn. You can add me on LinkedIn too. John J. Fluke on there. So
Don't have me on LinkedIn though. Do not.
and that's it. Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.